This is a story I've been very hesitant to talk about, mainly because I wanted to have, a happy ending. Don't exactly have a happy ending, but definitely a better ending than the beginning. I used to get a lot of comments and messages asking about how to deal with suicidal thoughts and things like that, and if I have ever been in that position. And like many adolescents, yes, I have been there, and no, it was not just something that I dealt with when I was a preteen or young in my teens. It was something that haunted me later on in life too. So I was depressed on and off. It came in cycles from that point at age 13 up until I was 19 years old. And I had felt suicidal. I had suicidal breakdowns. I've written notes before, but when I was 19, it was something that seriously hit me. And the main thing that brought that on was I got in an argument with one of my closest friends. He wasn't cruel, he wasn't mean or anything. It was just I needed him for something and he was continuously not there. So that hurt me a lot and it threw me off a lot. At this point, it was my freshman year of college. I did not have any friends. I was no longer in high school with people around me that I was familiar with, even if I didn't like them so much. So in college, I was pretty much alone. In my senior year of high school, I was doing this program where we worked in a counseling environment. I didn't have that anymore, and it was a hard thing to adjust to after doing that for an entire year and then some. So I was very alone. I walked around campus alone. I ate lunch alone. I came home and I was alone. And now that I wasn't speaking to my friend, all of his friends were not speaking to me either. The only person I had at this point was my boyfriend, and even he was getting a little nervous about how dependent I was becoming because I didn't really have anybody else. So everything was put on him and it was very, very stressful. I contacted another friend because they were going back to my high school. I told this person, listen, I'm feeling super suicidal and depressed. Can you please contact this teacher because I trust them and they know what's going on and I just want some advice and see if they can get a referral or something. She did not say a word to that professor about that. And when I asked the person, she said she forgot. I literally reached out saying, please, can you get this person for me? This is a matter of life or death for me and I really need someone to talk to, and it was not important enough to them. So that could easily make a person feel super worthless, and that is an understatement of what I felt. Soon after, it was winter break. I had a month off from college and I was feeling very, very down on myself because I had no friends, I had nowhere to go, my boyfriend worked, and there was nothing else for me to do. At the same time, my home situation was not cooperating with me either. I have moments where I do not get along with certain people in my family. Things can get very hectic and it was very hard for me to deal with emotionally because I had all of my own things going on. So knowing how I felt and that I was visibly upset and crying myself to sleep and all of this stuff, nobody cared. At this point, every night I'd be writing on Tumblr, writing about how I hated myself and how I wanted to die and I hoped something would just happen to kill me and how I wished that my mom could have lived and that I could have died because there's no point for me to live. And I was literally at the point of insanity. I went back to my high school over this break and I spoke with the counselors there. The person I worked with just kept recommending getting professional help. It was just a matter of finally working with someone and figuring out what it is that's really upsetting me and why I was so dependent on other people at this point. It was a big downward spiral and I was in contact with one of the people that I did the whole peer groups thing with. Her name was Deb and she went out to lunch with me and we just talked about things and it made me feel a lot better. Things did not really get better. My boyfriend went away to Florida for about a week. When he came back, I was sort of a wreck. So he came over and just was talking to me about things. And insanity isn't even the best word to describe how I was speaking because it was literally inhuman. It was not something I can even describe. I looked him straight in the face and said, I'm gonna kill myself and I'm gonna do this, and that. It's just gonna happen and everything's gonna be better. Trust me, it's all gonna be better. I'm telling you now because I don't want you to be upset. I wasn't even speaking, someone else was just speaking for me. And I'm saying these words, but on the inside I'm saying I wish someone could just save me and I wish that somebody else could fix this for me because I'm at the point where I don't care anymore. And it was really just a feeling of nothingness. I felt like there was nothing to live for. There was nothing worth doing anything for. Honestly thinking that there's nothing to live for and there is no hope for me at all. And when I'm speaking like this to my boyfriend, he started hysterical crying and he was just so hurt by that. Giving up on him, giving up on school, giving up on everything, just throwing it all away because I was that upset. And he used this example that I'll never forget and it was just the most random thing. He said, look up in the sky, you see these planes. Do you realize people created machines that fly in the air? People have the potential to do that. Basically the point he got at with the whole plane thing was that that you have the potential to do anything. You can do whatever you want. And if I killed myself, I would not know anything about that. I would have no idea about what potential I have. I have my own contributions and I have my own things that I can do for other people. I just hadn't found it yet. And as he's telling me this and just weeping and saying like, are you getting this? Do you understand where I'm going with this? Is this making you change your mind at all? I just stared blankly and I said, no, not really. Just like that. Watching someone you care about more than anything cry hysterically, pouring their heart out to you, and all you could say is, no. The second I see someone crying in front of me, I just want to love them and care for them and make them stop. But I wasn't in that position. I was at the point where I just did not care about anything. So the first day of school comes, it's the end of January, I see someone and his name is Eric. And he honestly did help me so much in realizing things about myself and making the first few steps and helping me realize I am worth it. I'm worth the money to go to a therapist. I'm worth living and walking and breathing. I'm worth all of that. It's not something that I should just throw away because I have a reason and I have a purpose for being here. I left with a little glimmer of hope. And here comes the fun part of the story. I started feeling really bad because the friends who I was no longer speaking with happened to be in the classes that just started for the new semester. I left the class crying because I saw them laughing and having fun when they were leaving, and I was leaving in tears because of how upset I was. I went home on my Tumblr that night and I wrote something along the lines of, I want to kiss the ground, all these things about jumping in front of like the E-train. Finally, someone saw that, and that person was Deb, the person that was in the peer groups with me in high school. It was a weekend. I was very upset. I actually finished watching. It's kind of a funny story about the kid who's suicidal in the hospital and that experience of staying and being admitted. Did not think that that would be my future in a few hours. A group of my friends from high school, even people that I wasn't really close with, wound up getting together on a chat room, and Deb made sure that she got my address and made sure that help was sent. So at about 1 in the morning in February, I received a knock at the door, and I already knew what the deal was, and I opened the door and I said, you're here for me. And outside there was an ambulance, there were about 2 cop cars, a fire truck, all of this stuff, and they wound up taking me. I spent all night in the hospital. I was evaluated. I saw a psychiatrist for the first time. I saw actual MDs and people who could diagnose me, and I was officially diagnosed with depression. Now the next step was a matter of if I wanted to be admitted and be a part of the mental health program there, and I opted out of it. They saw me as someone who was not going to hurt myself. I don't think I was gonna do it myself, and I think they knew that. So they felt alright sending me home, but made sure that I was finally put into an official place for therapy. I was acting very psychotic, as I mentioned before. I was not acting much better. It wasn't like I left the hospital feeling like everything was so much better or anything. It wasn't like that at all. I still felt just as bad. It was at this point that my boyfriend felt it would be a good idea that we didn't speak to each other because I was not focusing on myself, and the only person I was living for was him. A big misconception with relationships is that you need the other person to save you and fix you and all of that, but after this experience, Thomas taught me that you're not supposed to go into relationships looking for that. You're supposed to love yourself enough. You know that there's a reason that someone else should love you, and that you're cool enough that someone else should love you, and that you have the potential to be great with someone else. Just the point that you can't go into a relationship looking to please the other person completely. You need to have some sort of confidence in yourself and independence to be able to maintain something with someone else, and I did not have that. So Thomas, being the actor that he is, thought it would be a good idea to pretend to be a total asshole. I went home and I said, you know what, I need to hang out with people. I need to start doing things. I'm gonna invest my time in schoolwork, and I'm gonna invest my time in having lots of fun when I'm not doing that. I also wound up at the end of the semester getting straight A's because I was motivated by this whole, yeah, screw everyone, I'm gonna show everybody that I can succeed. And he eventually revealed to me that it was all just a plot to help me get in touch with myself and the things I like and the things I want to go do, and it was something I never really had before. All of these realizations started pouring in, and at the same time, I left the counselor at school and I wound up seeing somebody in private practice. And I can't say that everything's perfect, but so much has improved that it's really crazy. I'll give you a good example of how it's not perfect. I relapsed and had one day where I really felt suicidal again for the first time, and that was in October. I am so aware that I am going to be unhappy again. I'm aware that it's probable that I'm going to be depressed again. The best thing that I could do is find the things that make me feel content content or even happy, and just work with it and understand this may not last forever, and I'm not entitled to anything. I'm not supposed to have this perfect life or anything. I'm never going to be happy all the time. That is an impossible thing to want. It also happened at the same time that Hurricane Sandy happened, and that was something that really opened my eyes because I saw all of these other people going through something so horrible and understanding that things could be so much worse than I had it, and things could be a million times worse. And I'm not going to pretend and say that I have been the happiest person ever since. I have had my ups and downs, but I'm very aware of my emotions. I'm aware that this one thing is going to pass and it's not going to ruin my entire life. I've also found things that have made me feel like I belong, which is something I've never felt before. And I found a program that I really love and people that I really love and get along with, and it was something that I never thought that I would ever have in a million years. A year ago, I would not be able to handle the things that are going on now, and I'm just so grateful for the strength I've gained and just the insight to myself and all the things I've learned and everything. It's not something you can get from a book or anything. It's just experience and how you're going to turn those experiences into something good. I'm happy in some senses, but I like to think that I'm getting there. I'm not going backwards anymore saying that I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to. I think that there are so many cool things that I can do and so many things that I'm going to experience that I shouldn't off myself and miss out on those things. I'm able to do things, so why not take advantage of that now? It really just tells you that things do pass and that nothing lasts forever. So when you feel like you are in a situation that is going to last forever and you are going to be stuck in it forever, do not stick with that mindset because it will pass. It's not going to last forever. It does get better, and I truly mean that. I am living proof of that. This is a ridiculously long video. I can't believe that any of you even stuck around to watch the whole thing, but thank you for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye.